Leah.
Yes.
Welcome to episode 3. We are on a little love seat because this is the love section. I was totally right. Draco and Hermione fall in love. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't really believe that I would like it, but I did. I loved it. And I was also right. He was a spy the whole time.
But do you know why he was a spy?
Okay, no, I didn't know why he was a spy, but I did kind of fumblefuck my way into it because, do you remember in the first episode when I was like, I need a previously on Harry Potter because who the fuck is Lucius's wife and why is he so mad she died? So I kind of.
You were in the vicinity.
I was in the vicinity.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Bookmarked is our first segment, and here's where we're at. We are in Act 2. It's all about the flashbacks, okay? And Leah is my warning person.
Same warning as episode 1 and 2. There is adult content in this episode because this is
There's the most adult content in this one. Nya.
Yeah, so there is going to be gore, there is going to be sex, there is going to be language. So if you have any listening ears around you, please be aware.
And I'm going to be crass sometimes. So get ready. This episode is going to be kind of different. We don't have as much planned to do recaps and whatnot in this episode. So if you are looking for this podcast to tell you what happens in this book, I don't know that this episode is going to do that quite for you, but it should be entertaining, and there is some recap.
Yes, we will have a little bit of recap, but there is so much to unpack in this episode. If we had a whole section dedicated to recap, we just wouldn't we wouldn't be able to get to the juicy bits.
Yeah. So we are going to recap a little bit here. Draco has, as I mentioned, agreed to be a spy for the Order as long as he, quote, gets Hermione before and after the war, and she has to swear herself to him. And so the entire act is basically about how these two navigate the end of the war, their relationship with each other, and Hermione's attempt to gain control
she's
over Draco.
Essentially his handler.
Yes.
Throughout this whole section. Yeah.
Yeah. And Draco's attempts to remain distant and aloof from Hermione.
Yes. So through this whole section, they are both using each other in different ways.
Yeah.
And how ultimately they can't continue to use each other anymore.
Okay. Before we jump in, quick question. Who do you more relate to, Draco or Hermione?
Let's be honest. I'm not like either Hermione or Draco. I'm probably a Ginny or something. I would say when I am in a highly stressed or trauma-induced state, I am more cold. So in that way, I would say I'm more like Draco.
All right.
No, you have to answer the same question. Who do you relate to more?
Oh, Draco, 100%.
Yeah.
I've never cried as much as Hermione in a day in my life, I don't think. I am not a crier. I am not a feeler. I actually think I might be a natural Aquaman.
Okay.
I'm very good at compartmentalizing my brain off and pretending like, oh, that whole fucking thing didn't exist.
That is a skill I wish that I had. I will say I do. Okay, so in the way that Hermione kind of rabbit holes into her research, I do that a bit.
Okay.
It's a little bit of, I don't know, ADHD tendencies to hyperfixate on things that I'm curious about. So I do resonate with that.
That you are. Yeah. Everything Draco does, I'm like, bitch, me too. Margins. These are what we were writing in the margins, and we're 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
More than that. It's page almost 800 of 1,000. So in terms of the book itself, we are 4/5 of the way through but we have a whole last act. But I felt like now you could contribute more because we were not worried about you spoiling everything for me.
Yes. And this is the biggest section of the book. So the most happens here. So we have so much more to unpack than we did the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
I kind of want to kick this off by talking about some of the contrasts and some of the parallels that we see throughout. There is no general order to these things.
Okay.
But first off, can we just talk about how Draco is manacled to the resistance, and she actually uses the word manacled.
Yes.
Nice tie back. To the resistance and to Voldemort, the same way that Hermione was manacled to, Draco in
Yeah.
first and last act.
Draco's kind of the original Manacled.
Right.
Because he also is manacled to the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Right? He's got, is it a tattoo? The mark?
Not exactly a tattoo. So it is magically enhanced. So it tells the Dark Lord like where he is,
Yeah.
whoever needs to find him, if they ever try to, he can summon him with it. If he ever tries to get the mark off, he will bleed out and die.
Yeah. And he can't kill Voldemort is the other component of the dark.
Yes.
Or the mark.
It prevents
the dark
him from,
mark.
Yeah, prevents him from killing Voldemort.
Yeah. So the motherfucker's got chains.
Right.
Bottom line, like this guy is chained every which way.
And this is not a parallel or contrast, but I thought it was such a great detail that she pulled in that he becomes ambidextrous, knowing that he wants to get rid of his manacles, of his dark mark, that he actually works to become ambidextrous and be able to use both his hands.
Yeah, we're alike in that way too.
Really?
Did you know I'm ambidextrous?
I didn't know this. My husband is ambidextrous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We should have an ambidextrous off. Okay. So your next point, another parallel.
Yeah. So
or contrast.
My next one is Draco loves Hermione's wild curly hair.
I love that about him.
And on the contrary, Ron only likes Hermione's hair when it's like tamed and pulled back in a nice braid. And I just feel like that's such a metaphor for their whole relationship. Like,
yeah.
The Resistance in general just likes Hermione when she's more docile and tamed. That is not the case with Draco.
Yeah. Loves her wild.
I want to talk about, too, this idea of the way sacrifice is used in this section. So, because both Hermione and Draco are, in a sense, sacrificing themselves. They both don't feel like they're going to get out of this alive. So all of their actions throughout this whole section are, how can I benefit the people I leave behind the most before I go out, right?
Yeah.
But they're doing it in almost opposite ways, right? So Hermione is trying to distance herself from as many people as possible so that ultimately, when she dies, she will create the least amount of impact to the people in the Resistance, right?
Yeah.
She's going to make the hard choices. She's going to do the hard things and is slowly distancing herself so that they don't have to carry the weight. She does. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, Draco is doing the opposite. He is climbing the ranks as quickly as possible, trying to make as deep connections as possible so that ultimately when he dies, his death will create a power vacuum that will completely disrupt the Dark Lord and his forces. So I just love that contrast between how they're both preparing for their ultimate death and how it'll impact people around them in completely opposite ways.
Yeah. This to me, and you have a point about this later too, but this is very, I would say, stereotypical man-woman reaction to this, right? A woman is going to try to make her death as comfortable for everyone else as possible, as opposed to a dude who's like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to take as many motherfuckers with me as possible. It just feels very like I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I think a lot about gender dynamics and how to challenge people to think about them more deeply. Like I have a military leader in my book named Richter, but she's a woman. Mm-hmm. And people call her Rick. And I want people to forget that she's a woman as they're calling her Rick, because it's such a obviously mostly masculine name. Mm-hmm. But it's like, no, she's badass and she's got boobs and a vagina. And there's nothing that keeps her from being a strategic military mastermind. Why would there be?
I love that. Okay, we should have a whole episode just like unpacking your book. So, future episode. It's coming.
Sure.
Okay.
But obviously this is just smart. It's a great contrast, and how they deal with this is dope.
And I hope that in certain ways people feel seen when they read this, and I'm going to dive more into this later. But there are certain stereotypes in here, but I hope that people see themselves in bits and pieces of it. Yeah. We're
going to get into that in a second. We have Instagram suggestions for Hermione. But okay, what's your fourth point here?
So my fourth point, kind of leaning into what we were just talking about, is that Hermione feels responsible for everyone around her, for all of her friends, for all of her family, who she will never see again, for the entire Resistance, feels personally responsible for taking care of them.
Right.
And cares about them deeply. Whereas Draco again, is the opposite. Like, he is trying to care for as few people as possible. So since his mother's death, he has completely removed himself from any sort of feeling for any other human until Hermione.
Yeah.
So again, this is how they're dealing with the trauma of their situation from a similar source, but in completely opposite ways.
Yeah. And I also think the other thing that I just couldn't stop thinking about, what a fucking groomer Voldemort is with this move to take Draco's mom, torture her, imprison her, and basically say, you have to kill Dumbledore in order to save your mother, and just how young he is when he's making this decision to commit the rest of his presumed life to service to what is the worst creature in his mind, that tortured his mother to a point of breaking before she even actually died. And that Hermione is now facing a very similar decision of committing her life to a cause that she at least got to choose, and she is an adult. And, you know, I said in episode 2 that I was going to be shocked how she made me like Draco, but it really did it. It really did it. I was like, this poor guy.
Oh, I mean, it's the catalyst for his whole life and his whole relationship with Hermione. Like, the fact that he was put in that position where, yes, you have to dedicate your whole life to the thing that you hate the most, or we're going to kill the person you love the most. Like, those are your choices. Which is, again, let's talk about the Handmaid program. Similar program. So you have the option to either rape the woman that you love, or watch her be tortured and executed.
Or let your father rape her.
Oh, God. So, yeah. I
think that's the worst option. No?
Oh, God. It's so awful. The whole thing is so it just makes you sick to your stomach. And that's why this story is so powerful. And so, yes, it's also kind of a mindfuck. And I only talked about this in the last episode, so I won't unpack this. But how you get to a point where you almost feel worse for the rapist than you do for the person being raped. Like, how do you get to that point? And yet here we are.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like I said, I'm excited that you have some points. You have a second point.
Oh, I do have a second point. Okay. Oh, okay. There is a scene that will not let me go. After the battle where Harry takes Hermione with him to save Ron.
Right.
Because Ron is the priority.
Totally. Let's risk our best healer to save my best friend.
Right, exactly. Hermione is supposed to be your best friend, but is obviously never treated like the best friend. So after this, it all goes horribly wrong. It's an ambush. She knows it's an ambush. She goes anyway because she feels like she has to take care of everybody. It obviously all goes to shit, and Draco shows up and saves all their asses, right? Kills off all of the Death Eaters, pulls the Resistance out so that they, thank God, ultimately survive. He pulls Hermione out, brings her to their, what do they call it? Whitecroft? Is that the shack cottage?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
I just call it the shack, but you could call it Whitecroft if you must. Be canon specific.
Yeah. So they get there, and he basically tells her, actually, I just have the quote here, so I'm just going to say it. He says to her, "You are not expendable. You don't get to push everyone away so that they'll feel comfortable with using you and letting you die. You are not replaceable, and you are not required to make your death convenient." I could not get over it. It stuck with me. I mean, it's still stuck. It just like carved itself into my rib cage right there, and it will henceforth stay there. So not only is this scene just narratively exquisite, I think it's also a reflection of a lot of people's experiences, albeit on a less dramatic scale. But like, let me explain. So I think a lot of people, particularly women, in an effort to be good, in an effort to be, nurturing, helpful, compliant, palatable, what have you, they make the death of their joy, of their curiosity, of their creativity, their peace, the death of the things that they love most as palatable for other people as possible so it doesn't impact the people that they love the most. So in an effort to take care of the people around them, they stop caring for themselves, and not just their bodies, but their souls and what lights them up and makes them feel alive. And here we have Draco fighting for her in this way. So just a shout out to all the people who are fighting for their partner's joy and their well-being. We see you. We love you. Jared, I love you. And I hope that they feel seen while reading this excerpt.
Do you know that men who are married live like 5 years longer than men who are not?
Fascinating.
It's because we rock. Really, we are the foundation that men build their success on. And it crushes us. So let's talk about good versus evil.
Oh, man.
Evil.
This was so good. So similar to when we talked about hope in a previous episode, good and evil is looked at and treated very differently by different characters. So on the resistance side, so Harry, Ron, all those folks believe that as long as they just continue to do the right thing and they use good magic and don't use the dark magic, that they're just going to win and everything will work out. And if you give in to evil, then you're the worst and you suck. And Hermione is like, the math doesn't math. Like, I'm the one in the hospital taking care of all of the people who come back completely ruined.
Yeah.
Like, and if you continue to only stun the people who are trying to kill you, eventually they will win. So in the battle where Draco shows up, right? Mm-hmm. She uses dark magic in that specific scene
to kill a werewolf.
To kill a werewolf who was about to kill Ron. There was no other
about to rip Ron's motherfucking throat out.
Right. Let's be as specific as possible.
Like, this werewolf wasn't just biting on his leg, okay? He was on his neck, ready to rip his throat out. This is a dire situation that they did not have the manpower to stun the werewolf, which I do like her detail, because even somebody who I don't really understand everything that's going on, I'm like, that makes sense. I like the detail of, like, you'd probably need like 12 wizards there stunning this thing a bunch in order to kill it, because it really just makes Harry's argument such fucking nonsense.
Yeah. And so when they get back afterwards, at that point, Harry is like reaming her for using dark magic to save his best friend, who he was willing to sacrifice to save anyway.
It's really good writing.
It was
because you turn Harry Potter, who is beloved,
yes, absolutely,
into a real dickhead that makes you go like, fuck you, Potter, you know? So I do have one slightly tangential thought here. I don't really get where the adults are. Like, I know that all of the kids from Harry Potter are now technically adults in their 20s, but where is the seasoned, grizzled war strategist that's going to sit down and be like, guys, literally this is impossible. We cannot stun and imprison everyone on the other side. It literally is not a plan.
Yeah. Once you called it out, I couldn't not see it. I didn't even think about it as I was reading it, but so now that you say it, there is the kids that were originally in like Harry and Hermione's class, right? Their whole year, and then maybe a couple years below them. And then there's like Moody and Shacklebolt. Like, where is everyone else?
Yeah, I was like, where is the actual war strategy? Because it's sort of alluded to that somebody's a strategist, and even Ron has said that he's a good strategist. And I was like, yeah, but there's not a lot of strategy here, just in general.
Where is it?
Yeah, like, I don't know what your actual plan is. I don't even know how they hung on for 6-7 years, whatever it is. Like, that makes no sense to me. I mean, but you need the war to be something to play off of as like a device. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fine, and it's not her main point, really. You start by knowing that they lose the war.
Right.
So to some extent, you know, if it got into more detail, it also is like, but you know that they're going to lose. Who really cares?
Right. You don't need to get too into the weeds because you know how it ends. But she actually released today it's like a newsletter or an article, I don't know, about a lot of the books that she read that inspired her while writing Alchemized. Mm-hmm. And one of the books that she called out was really from a woman's perspective of war.
Okay.
And this is going to become a major theme throughout here, and how women are treated in the war. And yes, we can spend a whole episode unpacking that. But most of the books and films and literature of the time are very male oriented and very like glory and honor and all of these types of themes, where she really wanted to focus on the ugly aspects of the war and how, when you kind of unpack it, it feels ultimately insane.
Yeah. That's sort of a heavy topic. And we've been talking about a lot of heavy topics. And I think if you know anything about this book, you know that Act 2 is where Hermione and Draco fall in love and they get it on. So I feel like it's time for sexy time.
Let's do it.
Can we do sexy time? Okay.
What are your thoughts?
And so first of all, the sexual tension as they're figuring out that they're attracted to each other is just chef's kiss. It's so painful. It takes so long. It's the best kind of pain that there is with sexual tension.
Well, I mean, they're both, to our earlier point, using each other, right?
Yeah.
She knows that she's just a tool to him.
Yeah.
And he knows that she's going to try to manipulate him and
Right.
ultimately betray him.
Yeah.
So they both know that this whole situation is fucked from the beginning. And yet, yes, there is this natural tension between them. And I think that's why people like the Hermione dynamic so much, is because they really shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
In any, like, they shouldn't. They don't-
Except they're hot and
except-
young and like, fuck it. Go fuck each other.
But they're like perfect for each other.
Yeah.
So anyways, yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay, so then Draco gets runes. How you pronounce them?
Runes. Yes.
Runes. He basically gets carved up by Voldemort because he fucks up. And Voldemort's like, never again, I'm going to make you stronger by using all of this blood magic and carving these symbols into your back.
Well, it was because when he gave the information to the Resistance, and they like used it all at one time, knowing that he was going to take the fall for it. So he knew he was going to die at this point. And then he shows up. Continue with the runes.
Yeah, so he shows up and Hermione starts treating him, healing him. And on the last heal, finally the dark magic is out of him enough that she can close up and stitch him up. And she does it, but it's like extremely painful. And so she suggests that he gets drunk, which is a little bit odd because I feel like, again, they're magic and they can solution for this in any myriad of ways. But
Getting drunk is the funnest.
Totally. And he even says, like, I'm not getting drunk around you, Granger. Oh, I love when he calls her Granger. Anyways, but he does it anyways. He downs like 2 bottles of fire whiskey or whatever they call it on here. And then they do this drunken makeout and it's so hot. It's so good. Oh, it's good. And then she starts feeling the feelings and cries because she's Hermione. And she feels too much and she's thinking about all of the things instead of just enjoying this hot man that she's straddling. And he is like, no, get off of me, because his big thing is like, he's not going to do anything unless she wants him.
Right.
And so he's like, get off of me. And then he doesn't see her for like a month. And then they get back together and rada, they have sex on the floor. Now, here is the thing about the sex on the floor. I'm going to it's fine. It's not my favorite sex scene I've ever read in my life, if I'm being totally honest. I think the makeout was like probably the hottest thing that happens, in my opinion.
Fair.
However, I do have a bone to pick with sex scenes in books, including this one. I have 2 major pet peeves. One is when a virgin bleeds the first time she has sex, because here's a little biology lesson for you. I actually don't know why people still think all women are born with hymens and that you are going to bleed the first time you have sex. That is not accurate. Not everyone has a hymen. And second of all, hymens often stretch over time when you're, doing shit. Like if you are into sports, if you ride horseback, if you've ever masturbated, if you
wear a tampon.
use a tampon on a regular basis. Like this belief that all women have a hymen, that only a dick can like magically penetrate and then you're going to bleed and it's like this amazing transformation of you as a woman. I just hate that trope because one, it's not true, and 2, I actually, like, for Hermione, again, like, my girl, you're like mid-20s. If you have never masturbated, like, come the fuck on. Like, dudes masturbate before they even turn 13 most of the time. And like women, there's just this bullshit double standard that we're not supposed to have any fucking fun by ourselves until some man comes and explains to us how our bodies work. I fucking hate it. Obviously, I'm a little bit passionate about it. Here's the second thing. I don't like when people orgasm from vaginal only sex because it is very rare for most women to orgasm just through vaginal intercourse. And so I do like that Draco knows what the fuck he's doing, put a little finger down there and worked on our magic button, okay? And the only thing that I would have liked is if there was some maybe like fingero vibroto, maybe?
Like a spell.
like a little spell to give it a little bit of zhuzh would have been fun for me personally. But I have a very active creative mind. So that's just what I would say about the sex. Thoughts?
I am so glad that you brought up the hymen point because that is also one of my pet peeves with sex scenes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. We agree on something. This is great. Look at us. So yes, the like blood on the sheets on the floor or whatever after the first time. It's like, come on. Okay. So yes, I agreed with that point. But as a literary tool in this scene, you do get
agreed
Draco's reaction like, oh shit, I didn't know. I assumed that. And she's like, no, they assumed that that's how you would want me.
Yeah.
So I recognize its purpose and its impact in that scene, but yes, overall, I do not like that trope.
Yeah. I agree with the storytelling device, and I like see it for what it is. I just also who is the main market for this? Like the age group, would you say?
For this book?
Yeah.
Us?
What are you? You're in your like mid-30s, right?
Yeah, 35.
Okay. And I'm 40. So yeah, like
30 to 40.
Millennials. Elder millennials into millennials.
And I think that millennials read this more than maybe other generations is because we are like the Harry Potter generation.
That makes sense.
So,
okay. All right. Whew, that was great. Okay. So point number 6. What parts of us are core versus flexible? That's my question. So there is a scene where Hermione is sitting at a window and tracing a rune, which is something she does really early on when she gets over to Draco's manor, and when she doesn't remember anything, and she does the same exact thing. And I just thought that was a beautiful moment of this is just who she is as she's thinking. And you made this point, I think, in our first episode about this whole idea of wiping her memory is kind of an amnesia trope a little bit, maybe a lot of it, maybe all of it. But I do think that encourages the reader to think the same question for ourselves. How much of us is core to us that we would do in a situation of high trauma where we've blocked things out, not in this magical way that Hermione does. But I just think I don't really have much more than to say that these things that remain are interesting to think about. Or I was thinking too about Draco's smell, right? Like there's that moment where she attributes her attraction to Draco when she can't remember anything to Stockholm Syndrome. And I just wondered how much of that is just the smell of him and your body and your whole soul kind of remembering how comforting that was. And you don't know where it's coming from, but it feels comforting to you and you're into him in that moment. I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah. She brought in a lot of really intentional callbacks to who she was before she locked her memories away.
My next point is I have this Post-it note at home that says, if by appreciated you mean I do everything and no one fucking notices, then yes, I feel appreciated. I think that's how Hermione should feel all of the time because she never gets her credit. And she even says, I'm not doing this for credit. I don't expect a medal. And in fact, some of what she's doing, if the Order of the Phoenix even ends up winning, she could be tried in court for using dark magic and some of the things that she's co-signed in terms of torturing Death Eaters and all of these things. So it's very specific that she doesn't expect to be thanked, but still.
I mean, yeah, she's taking the fall for so many people. And she even said, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that as a reader, it doesn't take away from the fury that we get to feel on her behalf, which is just, it's so fun. Okay, so there's this scene with Angelina, and Angelina seems like a real fucking uppity bitch. Okay, so she is She is fucking lecturing Hermione about how bad magic is. And I mean, do you know what's going to happen to you after the war? And Hermione's like, yup, sure do. It's kind of like my job to know all of this stuff. So yeah, I do. And she literally says, that's how hope works, Hermione. It just takes a spark. Actually, I added a few obnoxiousness in there, but like
it was exactly like that. She's like, we're winning, and Hermione's like, the fuck we are. Yeah, I was like seething. I was raging during that scene, which is the sign of great writing, right? Because I was
100%
losing my mind.
Yeah,
during that scene.
And then poor Tonks, right? Tonks
with an S.
So Tonks is like the first person in the Order to be like, hey, girl, it looks like you've been working out or like practicing your fucking moves. You look like someone's been teaching you how to survive on a battlefield. I'm really impressed. What's going on? And Hermione is like, oh, don't ask. Because the answer is Draco, the only one who gives a fuck about her and has been teaching her shit. And so then I was like, all right, Tonks, like my girl. And then they wipe her fucking memory and she dies. And I was like, well, now I'm sad for you.
Tonks is a very underrated character. I loved her. And I also love that she called out, the line is something like, who do you have in your back pocket with that much firepower?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like she unpacked the whole thing, like with very few details. And the reason I loved it too is because that's kind of how we feel as readers, but that's not how Hermione would have ever described Draco. Like Draco's not in her back pocket. And we're like, yes, he is.
Yeah. You got him, girl. My last thought here is, so she gets a ring from Draco, and that's how he summons her. Yeah. And then she has a protein? Is that
Protean.
Protean bracelet from the Order to also summon her. And I just thought about that guy who had that viral video about Britney Spears where he goes, leave Britney alone. That's how I felt for my girl Hermione. I was like, leave her alone, okay? Everybody stop summoning my Hermione. She needs to take some time to herself. She needs to go to a fucking beach and a spa and like just leave her the fuck alone for a hot goddamn second.
Right. Solve your own problems. Give her a little R&R.
Yes.
Back off.
Although she would never take it.
She would never take it. Because she even said, she has this line or something along the lines of like, if it takes me using dark magic and losing my soul to save all of the people who will be ultimately impacted by this war, my family, my friends, my cousins back at home, like that's not a sacrifice, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
And that's how she actually feels. And you as a reader are like, but no.
Moving on. Let's talk about the writer's desk. You asked me, what do I think about the story structure, the non-linear story structure?
I want your thoughts on how you feel. Like, was it effective? Did you like it? Did it not work? What do you think about it?
Well, you are talking to someone whose first book literally is told backwards.
Yes.
It is the diary of a woman who's dying in 60 days, and I start on day 60. So I love a non-linear story. I think it opens up really unique, fun, interesting ways to consume the narrative. So generally, I would say I'm for it. I do think there are both places where it's really effective and then places where the critiquer of me would say that it could have been pushed a little bit further. For example, knowing that Harry is going to die right at the front does make some of the last chapters in this act a little bit less, the stakes don't feel very high because you already know he is going to die. So some of the things that he says, so he's very downtrodden at the end here, and he says he's going to die. If you didn't know he was going to die, you would feel totally different when Hermione's like, no, you're not. You'd be, as a reader, like, no, you're not. You're going to be fine. I don't know how you make that more interesting, to be honest. Even then, when she is going to use Ginny's pregnancy to get him to stay, that's another moment where I think as a reader, you would have been like, oh, that's it. Like, that's the trump card that's going to make him not do it. But you know that it's not even going to be a question. Right. So you're like, well, okay, that's not going to work. You know, like I found myself just being like, well, whatever, you know?
I see that point. But to the same point, when you think about Hermione's scene where she is bringing down the hospital and you know she's going to get captured because that's where she ends up. You know she's going to end up there. That doesn't make that scene any less impactful in my book.
Yeah, I have the exact opposite opinion. Like, I very specifically, that last scene in the shack where it's her and Draco and they've brought Snape in to, why did they bring him in? They bring him in.
Well, because he had to.
Because Hermione needs somebody in the Resistance to continue looking for the Horcrux. And she wants to tell him that she's going away with Ginny. And so he's basically, him and Draco, this is like your job now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think I think that was how it worked. And so anyways, so it's Draco and Hermione and Snape and then an unconscious Ginny. And we know as a reader that this is the last time they're going to see each other for 16 months. We know this is goodbye. And I didn't feel the knife in my fucking heart like I wanted to in that scene. It was very clinical, in my opinion. Like, she's just really trying to get him out of the shack so that she can go blow up the thing and make her bombs. And I just was like, this should hurt more than it does.
And I had the opposite opinion because I thought she has to keep it casual. Like, she can't have some like heartfelt goodbye.
She can in her brain.
With him. She can in her brain.
We're in her brain.
Yes. But it comes when she actually is battling 6 witches and 7 werewolves and like 8 dementors or whatever, however many. Like, the odds were unrealistic. But she's fighting so hard to get back to him and thinking like, oh, this is going to be it. And that was the heartbreaking moment for me because she couldn't tip off Draco then.
Yeah.
So, yes, to your point, like, there wasn't like this heartfelt goodbye. There couldn't be. But that was the moment that got me when she was in the middle of the battle with Montague and like 1,800 other beings.
Yeah. It didn't work for me. The other point that just kind of fell flat is all of the Weasleys dying, you know, that she's in her cage and like watching it all happen at the last flat. I'm like,
that felt flat?
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't care at all. I don't care at all. Like, we already know that they died and they got tortured in front of her. And it kind of, I was like, all right, got it.
All right. Well, I disagree, but that's fine.
Yeah, I want to solve the mystery.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
And
like,
for you, the mystery was already solved. So.
Right. So I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Your question was answered, and carry on. So
yeah.
You and I are very different readers, but that's fine.
But you know what?
Okay.
Listen, that's the brilliant thing about reading. You have your own interpretation.
Okay, so our next part is I kind of want to unpack the genre of this book. So it is technically a romance, but it doesn't do a lot of the things that I would say a typical romance does.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I would agree. At the very beginning of Act 2, the whole premise that they position to Hermione that Draco starts is basically, I want Hermione. I don't know if it's Moody or the other guy that says to her, he has some obsession with you from high school. And I was like, if this is a like Hermione's chosen because she's chosen like Bella from Twilight, where it's like, why is everyone infatuated with who is arguably just a random, not that great of a girl? Oh, she's just amazing.
The chosen one, yes.
She's just perfect. And I do, to some extent, I was in my mind rationalizing. I was like, I hate that in my head. And then I was rationalizing, well, this is very Harry Potter of it, right? Because Harry Potter is the chosen. He's got his little scar, and that is kind of what this story does. So I was like, fine. But then it turns out that Draco's decision is extremely practical. He chooses Hermione because she is the least likely to die, and therefore he doesn't have to start over again with someone new.
Right. He's the only person that he knows of in the Resistance who is a healer and not a fighter, because obviously he doesn't know like everyone who they have back there, but he did hear, oh, Hermione's alive and she's a healer. She's not going to be out fighting. If I get one of the, militia, then I'm going to be rotating through people every week.
I'm going to have to meet some new bitch.
And the reason he even like demanded he have a person is because he didn't think that the vengeance of his mother would be believed. Mm-hmm. Right? 'Cause it's been a couple years, so they're like, too much time has passed. He's like, I didn't know that there was a timeline on grief, but apparently it is.
He's over it. Yep.
And so he's like, I have to find other ways to make it feel like, my motivation is valid. And so, claiming Hermione both before and after the war, he's like, that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever said, but they bought it, made his decision feel so much more impactful.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And speaking of Draco and my love affair with him, I love this man's dialogue. If you are not a writer, dialogue is so fucking hard to do, just period, but also hard to do in a non-cliche way and in a way that really allows a reader to fill in all of the gaps and for the character to just really come off the page. And his dialogue is so fucking good. My favorite line is Hermione she's a little weirdo. We love her, but she's a little weirdo. And so she gets all nervous around Christmas and gives all of her friends basically potions to take out onto the battlefield with them. And she does the same thing with Draco, and she's explaining to Draco what every single one of her little potions is at Christmas and giving him this big, long lecture. And then at one point, they're in the shack, and he exposes that he's got basically a whole lab under the floorboards. And Hermione's extremely impressed. She's like, this is basically a healing inventory. How did you know to get all of this stuff? And he says, I got a long lecture on healing common battle injuries as a Christmas present last year. And I'm like, I fucking loved him, right? Like his vibe is very fucking cool. His dialogue is spot on every time. Senlin is very good at Are we supposed to say her whole name all the time? Senlin Yu?
I wish I knew. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. We don't know. I'm sorry. Senlin Yu is very good at dialogue generally. Hermione is a really strong voice as well, but nothing compares to Draco for me. He's good.
Yeah, his dialogue is on point. But overall, I'm very impressed with her skills in writing dialogue. Because writing dialogue is so hard. It's so hard.
It sucks.
Even the characters that I don't like in the story still have believable dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really well done.
Yeah. And then
I actually am really hoping that in Alchemized we get a chapter from Draco's perspective, because we don't. And not that I would not want like a whole book from his perspective.
Yeah.
But I do hope we get like a chapter or two from his
little inter chapter.
Yeah.
Give us a little inter. Okay, so a couple of main points about fanfic in general. This is my first fanfic read. I don't know how she wrote this. It is a fucking miracle to me, to be totally honest. Like the idea of her sitting around in her notes app, typing this all, and just releasing it. And because I do a lot of Easter eggs, but I am 3 books in to my series. So I'll go back to book 1 and be like, okay, this is like now the way that this is going to end up going. And so I can give a little hint here and I can do this here. How did she do this? Releasing this one chapter after the next. It's genius level shit.
She must be like a master plotter. Like, she can't be a pantser. Like, she has to be a plotter in order to layer everything in.
Yeah, every time something new comes up, then I'm like, oh my God, she seeded that in like chapter 5. How did she do that?
So
That's
impressive.
incredible. And I just called her a genius, so I just want to diatribe for a hot second. Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love fame mostly, she has this TED Talk that I adore. And especially, I think, if you are a creative of any kind, an artist, a musician, a writer, if you're a creative of any kind, you should go watch it for sure, because it really takes the pressure off. Because she talks about how ancient Romans had this idea that genius was not something you are. You are not a genius, but genius is this entity, kind of like a muse or fate. I don't know, like a thing that you can't control, that is just kind of in the ether, and you are but a conduit to this story that wants to be told. And I feel that way a lot when I write, is like, I don't believe that my brain can come up with some of the stuff that comes out of me. And I will read stuff that I wrote a few months ago and be like, I don't remember that at fucking all. And so I wonder if that's part of this. Like, she has a little bit of genius coming to her from somewhere about how to write this.
Yeah. So a couple of points to that. One, I did read Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, and I loved it. It was great. And she has this point where she almost views ideas as like these, like, I don't want to say like sentient beings, but almost like they have a desire to be brought into the world, right? And so they're looking for creators or people to bring said ideas into the world. And so an idea will come, they'll hang out with you for a little while, and if you don't decide to actually bring the idea into the world, they're going to flit off to somebody else and see if they will.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, thank fucking God that this idea found Senlin Yu, because otherwise we wouldn't have this.
Yeah.
My second point is that I do know that she is a prolific researcher. And so, at least for Alchemized, I know that she had a heavy reading list that she went through just to like fill up her brain before she started to write.
Yeah.
So she is definitely someone who is going to, do a bunch of research so she has enough like, sand to play with to build her sandcastles, right?
Love it. Speaking of artists, the fanfic art that is throughout this book, very additive. Loved it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it must be something for J.K. Rowling, and I know she's fallen out of favor with a lot of people, but it must be so incredible to create this thing that has created its own little mini worlds everywhere, and that then for Senlin Yu to pick up one of those little worlds in this Dramini fan fiction cluster, and that's so inspiring that she inspires people to create original artwork with these characters. Like, that just has to be such a cool fucking feeling as a writer at every juncture to create something that people get that lit up about.
Right, that inspired all of this beautiful art. It's actually something that I do if I'm debating like what book to start. Sometimes I'll just go look up the fan art first.
Yeah.
And so if a book has inspired a lot of wonderful fan art, I'm like, well, it's got to be good. If the artist felt so passionately about it that they created this beautiful,
thing,
masterpiece, then it's got to be good.
Okay, we're going to move on to canon. Who dat? This is where Leah explains shit that I don't fucking understand because I didn't read the Harry Potter books. So the first is, why isn't Snape ever legilimency'd? Why aren't they ever breaking into his brain?
I actually don't know if they don't ever break into his brain. I mean, maybe they do. I know that he is an Occlumens, like Hermione and Draco are.
Yeah.
So he probably would have some, evasive skills if they did.
Yeah.
But
because he's a triple
agent.
Yeah. So, like,
he has a lot of secrets. There's a lot of risk floating around in that brain.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's part of why I was like, but I guess to your point, if you are skilled enough, you can evade it.
Yes.
Is the concept. But why wouldn't you put the manacles on him?
Because, they don't put manacles on the Order members.
But I'm just saying, if you're looking for a spy, right? Like, we know that there are spies.
Right.
Like, the Dark Lord knows there are spies.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you just manacle everyone? He goes into their brain, searches around in there, and boom, finds the spy.
It's not a bad plan, except for the fact that they wouldn't then ever be able to use their magic.
Can't you just take the manacles off? Uh-oh.
So so you're saying that, like, put the manacles on.
Yeah.
Then dig through their brain. You know what? I would consider that a plot hole. That would be perfectly reasonable. Yep. Mark it down.
I found one. I'm sure there's a good reason not to. I would also just say the runes did confuse me. These carvings in Draco's back. I thought they were objects, so I was really confused how he had clothes on at first when I was reading through that passage. So am I just an idiot and didn't get this, or are runes in Harry Potter? Can you make me feel better and tell me that they're in Harry Potter so I don't feel stupid?
They are in Harry Potter. They're not a primary tool in the books, so they do exist, and I don't think that they are ever carved into people, so they're like in text,
right? Well, it's a pretty dark concept for a Harry Potter book,
right?
I would think.
It is a children's book, so we're not just although Umbridge, okay, we're not going to diatribe on Umbridge, but she carves it to her students. We're not going to talk about it. So yes, runes are a thing in Harry Potter. They're a thing in other fantasy books. They have different powers or meanings in different worlds, but yes.
Okay, so my next point is, so the Dark Lord is dying, and his Horcrux are the only thing that kind of tethers him to this world, as far as I understand it. And we find out that Harry is actually a living Horcrux. Hermione figures it out because she's brilliant. She's our girl.
Obviously.
obviously. And so when Harry dies, they think that there's one left, and I don't understand how they know how many are left. I don't know what's going on in my brain, but literally in my brain, I thought of the Trivial Pursuit pie. You know how you have to like get something right in the arts, and then you get your pink piece of pie, and then you have to get something right in sports, so then you get your orange piece of pie. I like saw Voldemort as like a Trivial Pursuit pie, and I was like, how many more pieces do we need? Like, how do they know when they get them all?
It's a good question. So in the original books, Harry gets to watch someone else's memory of Tom Riddle, who eventually becomes Voldemort, say basically how many Horcruxes he's going to create.
Okay.
So that's not unpacked in Manacled, but that is the reason why they knew how many there were going to be, except for
Got it.
Harry was the surprise. He was unintended. He did,
Right.
Yeah, was not supposed to be a Horcrux. So, you know, they thought there were 7. There were actually 8. And then, yeah.
Okay. So moving on.
Wait.
What?
No. We need to talk about Hermione's Patronus.
What is that?
Okay. So a Patronus it's like a animal that a wizard can produce, and it can be used for multiple things. It can send messages, it protects you from the Dementors. But what's important here is it is a reflection to some extent of who you are as a person, right? So, for example, Hermione's is an otter at the beginning.
Okay. I remember her not being able to produce one. That is the only thing that I remember about the otter.
Or it's difficult for her to produce one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then at the
Why
end,
is hers an otter though? What does that mean? She's going to hold hands with her lover bud as they float around and sleep?
I think
love
originally it
otters.
was supposed to mean otters are, they're curious, they're playful, they're
They're adorable.
They're adorable. And that is, ultimately not who Hermione is by the end of the story. So in her final battle there at the end of the flashbacks, she produces a dragon Patronus.
Yeah.
Which is very significant for a couple of reasons. One, it emphasizes her transformation as a person in all of the ways that she has become a fierce power to be reckoned with, right?
Yeah.
She has become just as deadly, just as determined and vengeful, really, as a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, Draco's name literally means dragon. So it's also this, almost like this love letter to her deep love for Draco and essentially choosing him. So, for an example, there is a couple of instances in which someone's Patronus would change. So, Tonks is one of them.
Oh.
I don't actually remember what her original one is, so the diehards would have to
contribute,
tell us what it originally was. But now her Patronus is a wolf to represent Lupin, who is her husband and is a werewolf.
Ah, okay. I missed all of that. I did not get any of that. I saw that she couldn't conjure her otter, and I was like, okay. And then I saw that she conjured a dragon, but I guess I just didn't. I thought it was a different spell. Maybe in my head. I didn't realize it was like her spirit animal, which I don't think you're allowed to say anymore, but that's kind of what these things sound like. It's not my fault. That's what they sound like. Okay. And so, I didn't get any of that. That seems real important.
Right. Yeah. So when Draco finds out later that she produced a dragon Patronus, it was also probably heart-wrenching for him to realize that was almost like her last letter to him as she was fighting to get back to him.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So
it's really good.
I know.
Okay. Well, we have to wrap this up.
All right. So my last point for this section, I'm calling it the mommy issue section, but it's a little bit broader than that. But really, I just feel it's worth addressing that Hermione put it perfectly when she said, we're kind of a fucked up pair, right? So Draco's possessiveness and Hermione's desperate need to be wanted
creates
almost this, frankly, unhealthy codependence happening happening here. But at the same time, like, as a reader, like, you're like, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
But, like, you also recognize this is not a healthy relationship. Right. You would never look to their relationship and go, oh, they haven't figured out, power couple over there. Right?
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, all the ways that both of them are just shaped by their past trauma, the way, you know, the way Draco's mom was tortured and then died, and he felt so deeply responsible for her that he's like, I never want to love someone that much again because I don't want to feel that crushing sense of responsibility that I felt for my mom.
Yeah.
And yet those are his new manacles with Hermione.
Yeah. I hate to compare a love story between two actual human beings to a dog. However, I do feel like because I do think in life there are very few of us that are going to experience this level of situation.
Of course.
But I do think, so we had a dog named Mary who was the best dog that has ever lived. I will not take debates. She just was the best dog that has ever lived. It's not just because she was mine. It's just the way that I was.
It's just facts. Okay.
Yes. And my husband, after she passed away, was like, I can't. Like, I cannot have this huge hole in my heart again. But we did. We got a little Stevie, who's a little son of a bitch. And I think that's also, this is the way it goes. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I couldn't possibly. But yes, you could.
Yes, you could.
You can love again. Don't give up.
And which will be addressed in Act 3, which we'll talk about then. But I love, there's this one line that kind of sums up their relationship, which I really actually hope makes it into Alchemize. But it says, it wasn't a romance between them, but a collision of two opposing forces.
Yeah.
And that's the way it felt between them through their whole story. And it was just perfect. Chef's kiss.
Let's switch gears totally.
Let's do it.
And talk about dark marks and darker thoughts. My first point is, as I have a beef with most things in this book, it is your magic. Your magic. You have magic.
Indeed.
Where is the fucking magic sex? I want it. I need it. Oh, baby, oh, baby. I don't understand why they're just doing it missionary all the time. It's like really fucking boring. And like in hotel rooms.
As opposed to like in crypts.
On the top of the Eiffel Tower at midnight. When no one else can be there. In the middle of, I don't know, like any place without security cameras. I don't know, like anywhere. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. You can conjure it to look like anything, feel like anything, smell like it. You could be on the top of a fucking tree. I don't know, like anything. All the things. You get to go do whatever you want, and you're like, nice hotel room with some room service. Like that's as imaginative as these wizards are getting. I just was like, come on.
Okay, but to be fair, if they let's just follow this thought experiment to its end, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say they did, right? These are two very, very private people, very secretive people, very.
No one's gonna see you. And plus, you can just make a spell so that nobody can see you. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
I don't know. It just feels like. Yes, while some people would probably deeply want that in the story, at the same time, I feel like it would completely alter the vibe of the story, right? Like,
yeah, it would be a lot more fun.
Right? If all of a sudden they're using like all these crazy positions and Hermione was showing up with nipple clamps, it would just feel wildly out of place considering how inexperienced she is and how, honestly, like, I don't want to say insecure. That doesn't feel like the right word. But this is all very new for her.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I think there's a lot in between anal beads, nipple clamps, and gags, and missionary. There is like so much in between that, to me, 3 sex scenes, all of missionary, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, can we do something? Give me something new. Give me a new feeling, a new something. Like, there's the first time, which is, we've already talked about, the bleeding on the floor thing. Then there's the first time she comes. And then there's orgasms, I guess it's the more brew. And then there's a third time. And that's it. That's all we get. All missionary. All like, yeah, okay, I get it. I don't think it makes sense for them to go, hog wild, fucking 50 Shades of Grey on everything, but I would have liked a little zhuzh, a little maybe levitation. I don't know, something more fun, a little bit. On the third one, I could have used a little zhuzh.
Okay. So is that something you're looking for in Alchemize then?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I am
All right.
looking for magic sex though somewhere. If you have any recommendations, is this like
I
not
don't.
something people do? Like I feel like, am I that deprived or like depraved? Is the right word? Like I immediately would be like, man, if we have sex in the magic world, like we're gonna fucking do some shit.
Let's mix it up.
Yeah, gravity doesn't even matter. Come on. Like I don't know. So I would have liked,
I hear you. I still think it wasn't appropriate for the story.
So like here's the other thing, right? Is that so I would like to know when and where Draco crafted all of his sex. Because this motherfucker's busy. He's like in the muggle world, reading every book possible.
Yeah.
He's the best fighter. He's the best killer. He's the best at everything. And so now he's also obviously an amazing sex partner. And I do think that if he's in the practice already of teaching her a thing or two, I don't think it seems that out of character for it to just be a little bit more.
So, okay, is your point that we don't know where he found the time?
Yeah, one, I don't know how he found the time. Two, I would like to know what is the backstory here. I mean, I know you don't know.
I got no backstory.
Yeah.
That being said, there is this like, why are they good at this out the gate, right? And I do have a thought around this that in a coming of age story, it's normal for like bad sex is normal. It's just part of the story.
It's coming of age.
Yeah. That is not, even for like virgins, that's not normal in like a romance story or a love story, right? Like it's just not.
I don't read a lot of romance, so I actually really, it's just like, oh my God, this is our first time and it's amazing.
For the most part, yeah. Not like everything went perfectly all the time, but yeah, it's like no one really wants to read like bad sex, but at the same time, I would have appreciated this almost like, I don't know, maybe they stumbled at first or were offbeat and they had to find their rhythm together. You know what I mean?
Something.
like that.
Yeah.
That would have felt right.
Yeah. We're gonna turn down the heat on the sex talk by turning up the heat on why are men always so hot? So Hermione does the dark magic and she's freezing because that's what it does. Makes you cold,
Yes.
apparently.
Yeah.
And Draco has the Heart of Isis, and so he's all warm and cozy because she gave him the Heart of Isis. And so he's hot, and this is a like, if you have ever slept in the same bed as a man, which I'm curious if your husband is the hottest person on the planet as well. My husband is so hot, and I kept reading those scenes of how enjoyable she found it, and I was like, girlfriend, I'm the exact opposite. I like cannot get away from him. And we live in the desert.
Yes.
And I was reading this in summer, so I also was just like, I like sweat profusely if my husband puts an arm on me, and he's so big and so hot, and I just do not find it enjoyable. And I want to know, why are men so hot?
Well, would Jake say the same thing about you?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay. No, because I'm sure you guys have similar, but yes, because we live in the desert and it's just basically,
it's an oven.
It's an oven all the time.
Yeah.
We have different like sleeping rules in summer versus winter.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, like in summer, we have separate blankets. Like
we have separate blankets.
We're not going to share.
We have separate blankets too. Yeah.
Which is not the case in winter, but in summer it's like, nope, don't touch me. It's too hot for that.
Yeah.
No, it's a thing. But to your point about Hermione and like, why does she find this enjoyable? Well, because she was cold.
I know, she was freezing.
So like, I don't think that was so much of like Draco's particularly hot, like,
He's just got like a normal body temperature.
He just got a normal body temperature and she's cold. Like,
Yeah. This is my last point. This is my last dark mark.
Okay.
This is not a dark thought, just a dark mark. Have you ever been to England?
No.
Well, let me explain something to you about England.
Tell me about it.
If you visit there for 7 days, there is literally no chance it's not going to rain on you 6.5 of those days. It rains in England constantly. It does not rain in this book constantly. I actually searched the manuscript for the word rain.
And never?
And it's like 12 times.
Okay. But to your point, yeah, it's not raining most of the time.
Yeah, like when she's at Draco's mansion, and I didn't bring it up, but I was thinking it right away. I was like, why isn't it raining there? Isn't this in England? Why isn't it raining there? And then it did rain when she went to his shack for the first time, and I was like, there's the rain.
Thank you.
There it is. But there is not nearly enough rain. It's overcompensated, however, with shower thoughts.
Okay.
I find.
Please explain.
Well, there's a lot of shower moments in this book. There's a lot of shower points. Well, so there's water.
She does.
Coming down, but it's in the shower, not from the sky.
I mean, she does have a feeling that she needs to, like, cleanse herself of everything that's happening to her. So, yeah, I would probably spend a lot of time in the shower, too.
Yeah. Let's move on to be continued. This is the end. This is where I do my wildest speculations. So, where the fuck is Dolohov?
I know, we never actually meet him, even though he's the most, like, cruel, depraved person in the story. We never actually meet him.
I could not believe that I was not going to meet this guy.
Because, yeah, he had such a profound impact on Hermione because she was basically cleaning up all of the mess that he created with all of his experiments.
Yeah.
But we never actually meet him.
So my second point, I had wild speculation. Well, no, actually, I did. It wasn't wild speculation at the time. I think it is stated in the first act that Draco kills Ginny. And as you know, my wild speculation, though, was that she had a daughter. We learn in the second act that it's a son. And then I don't think that Draco kills her because the timeline doesn't make sense. Because she wasn't in, like, initially, the way that it's positioned is that she is in Sussex and they're doing experiments on her and that she had gone crazy. But she was only there for like 2.5 seconds. So there's no way they did all of these experiments and Draco goes and rescues her and then she comes back and her brain is all mush. She wasn't there long enough.
No.
They captured her and then done.
Yeah.
So I now believe that probably they faked her death somehow and that she is still alive and well and gonna have Harry Potter's baby. Have a little Harry.
It's not a bad theory.
All right. That means I'm right. She always says that when I'm right. Okay. Point 3. Here are the big looming questions in my mind. So in Act 3, we are going to come back to present day. And obviously the big thing is going to be how Draco and Hermione reconcile all this shit.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then because Ginny is, like I said, I think probably going to have Harry's baby, I also think it would be... Like, I like pushing the envelope, obviously, on storylines and whatever. But I think for Ginny to lose Harry's baby for a writer who has just given birth to, like, do that to a character, I would be very surprised at Sen Lin Yu if she, like, made that literary decision after birthing a child. Like I think that would be like really that would be intense to me. I wouldn't think that would happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, so she's probably going to have a baby boy. So then the question is, what's Hermione going to have? I think she's going to have a baby girl because then this sets up the entire same dynamic essentially with the next generation of Harry Potter son with a Hermione daughter and the whole thing. So that's what I think is going to happen. However, I have more questions. So how does Hermione get her manacles off? I think there's some indication of like how the Death Eaters are involved there, but I still don't totally understand it. So I want to know that. I want to know how does Draco unshackle himself from the Dark Lord? How does he remove his dark mark? And does he lose his arm?
You would be surprised if he lost his arm?
Yes, but there is There's a lot of conversation about like his forearm and his hands. So I also feel like maybe that's like setting us up to be like, oh my God, isn't it terrible that he lost his arm? So I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, he's
That's
already
what I'm thinking.
ambidextrous, so
Right. So it's like,
who needs your arm if you're
I
ambidextrous?
mean, is it the whole? Is it the whole arm? It's probably just a portion of the arm. I mean, people have been through worse. You know what I mean? People have been through worse. War's a bitch. Okay, so if we are done, then I'm going to do the thing that the people do. What we are doing is we post these videos on YouTube. So if you would like to see if you're currently listening to us and you would like to see our facial expressions, you can go to YouTube and always watch these there. There's also a little podcast. You can create a podcast on YouTube. So we did that. And then otherwise, we're available wherever you get podcasts, really. I mean, the big ones, Apple, Spotify.
Come find us. We'd love to hang out.
Yeah, but don't talk to us. Right? I mean, we're probably not going to respond. We haven't had this conversation. We are busy. Listen,
We're fairly antisocial.
We're fairly antisocial, and we have gerbs. This is like a side project for us. We can't be, I mean, I don't know. You can communicate if you want, but I don't have time. Where should people talk to you? Since I'm cutting myself out of the conversation, where should they talk to you?
I'm not the quickest to respond, but if you want to come talk to me on either Instagram or YouTube, I'll be there.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yes, but timely results should not be expected.
I think that sounds fair. Untimely is better than none at all, which is what I'm offering. So you have that going for you, which is nice.
Yeah, which is shocking to me because I think out of the two of us, you are actually, I mean, obviously far more outgoing than I am.
Oh, it's all an act. I told you, natural occlumency over here. I just push away all of my introvertness and I pop out my extrovertness.
You have to, yeah, sometimes
my
I feel
gregariousness.
Sometimes when I have to be social, I almost have to look at it like a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% have a job to do.
Yeah.
By talking to people. And I can't always do it. I need to protect my peace. Okay, so next time you see us, I will have finished this book. Lee and I will be in the same mental position of understanding what has all happened. So I'm very excited for this. We'll see you there.
See you there.
Okay, bye.
Bye.